You see, when you're sent to the void, that's what's up for the rest of time. You're in the void, that's what's going on with you. But when you're reincarnated or you get rewarded heaven, so Death Parade is an anime about a group of people called Arbiters who judge humans who have died and decide whether or not they'll be going to heaven or hell. The humans are judged in pairs and they're judged by playing a game. Here's how it all works. The humans come to as they're entering a room from an elevator. They have no recollection of their death, so they're just confused as to how they've gone and ended up in a dodge-looking bar like this. The main bar of the show is called Queen Decim, and the arbiter that works there, that like runs the whole place, is called Decim. So you the human are lost. You the human are confused, and you've walked into this rather dingy-looking place, and Decim welcomes you. He says, 1, I can't tell you where you are. 2, you're both here to play a game. 3, the game you play will be chosen via roulette. 4, your lives are staked on this game. 5, you cannot leave this bar until you're done playing the game. So all of your neck hairs are standing up at this point. All your fight or flight sensors are triggered right now. The typical human reaction is just like, oh my god, like what in the weird neighbor's kid is this? You can't tell me what to do. You can't tell me. I can't leave this bar till we're done playing. I didn't even sign up to be here. You don't know me. I go where I wanna go. You know? Playing games with some dude at a dodge bar, and they start hunting for an exit, obviously. So Decim is going to make absolutely no attempt to stop you from looking for an exit. You're going to look for an exit, you know, to your heart's content, and then come back to the bar and agree to play the game. Because what else can you do at this point? So the games are often very common games, you know, ones with very simple, easy to understand rules like darts or bowling or, you know, video games or Twister. But the catch is that the moves you make inflict real pain on either you or your opponent. And so you start the game. You start the game under the impression that if you win the game, you live, and if you lose the game, you die. Simple enough, right? Like I can take this person, can take him, can take her, right? I just need to not lose this game and not die. But what you don't know is that you're being judged on whether or not you're willing to win at the expense of your opponent, and you're being judged on just how far you're willing to go to ensure that you get that win. So the further you're willing to go and the darker your motives, the less you're passing this test. And the opposite, of course, is also true. Seems like a fair test, right? Fair test? Fair test? Put the timestamp below and leave either fair test or not fair test in the comments. So as more and more of the game progresses, you gain a lot more of your memory, specifically the memory of your final days, and ultimately you remember that you died. And then it's like, wait, hold on, if I'm already dead, then what life am I staking on this? Oh, this is judgment, isn't it? And by this time, what's done is done. You know, the answers have been written, the test has been completed. So act out if you're acting out, cry if you're crying, apologize if you're apologizing, but it's done now. So before I dive deep into what the issue is here, I need to explain to you what an arbiter is. So an arbiter is essentially a humanoid puppet that is created for the specific purpose of judging humans. And so here are the rules that the arbiters abide by. 1, they cannot give up passing judgment. So once that's your job, that's your job. 2, they cannot experience death because that would link them too closely to the humans that they judge. 3, they cannot feel emotion because they are merely puppets. They might look real, they might look human, they might act human, but they are puppets. So as a human, when you enter into Queen Decim or one of the other chambers, the arbiters are given a condensed version of your memories. So they know your whole life story the second you walk in there. They don't know what you're thinking though, they just know what you're likely to be thinking based on the type of person that you are. Also, they don't know which memory you're recalling, they just know that this is around about the point where you'd be recalling something. So on the surface it's all fine and dandy, right? This guy has my entire profile. He pretty much knows who I am, right? He knows who my opponent is, and we basically just need to be decent human beings throughout this game to go to heaven, right? Wrong! Wrong, let's unpack this whole thing. I just want to start off by saying that I very much have a background in bug testing and like game development. So this has just been one big gold mine of, oh my gosh, has no one tested the system even once? Did we just roll it out with no one having tested it before? What's going on? Did you not use this on the first 5 humans and go, this entire system is dumb? Like I cannot, oh my gosh, here we go. So your life is being judged by an entity that's never lived. And I understand that's supposed to detach the arbiter from any empathy that would conflict with the judgment being made, but that also means that the arbiter does not understand the nuances of what it means to be human. Therefore, they are passing judgment on a thing that they do not understand. And not even your whole life is being judged, just a summary of your life as compiled by tired, overworked dollies at the Information Bureau. How do I know this? Because a dolly at the Information Bureau said that they are tired with 7,000 people dying every hour and them having to spend basically the whole time compiling their lives into chips. Memory compilation isn't an automated process. They do this by hand, so you can imagine the pinpoint accuracy with which you are represented. But let's pretend for a second that memory compilation isn't a flawed system. Let's just say that they're doing everything right. So they've taken all 25 of your years, all 43 of your years on Earth, all 89 of your years on Earth that you have lived, and they've condensed it into a chip thingy to send to the arbiters, right? Well, guess what? The summary of your actions on Earth isn't even the focus of what's being judged. So you could have been a saint, could have been Mr. Mahatma Gandhi. Doesn't matter. Let's play this game. So your backstory has no relevance in this equation at all. They don't use some sort of ratio of the good you've done on Earth to the bad you're doing now, or some metric that would make sense like that. No, you're being judged on how far you're willing to go to save your life in this moment, where you think that you're on the verge of losing it. On top of your backstory not really mattering much, another thing I noticed is that context plays very little a role in judgment. And this could very well be because they can't. Because context needs a very rounded understanding of things like tone, and tone needs a very rounded understanding of things like emotion, which they don't have. So in the anime is a lady who's basically like an actress. She basically had like a whole bunch of kids. She dragged herself out of like impoverished situations and all that, and she was there probably because of unfortunate situations. She was up against someone who basically was there at Queen Decim's because he decided that he would, unalive himself. The test did not once consider that one person is acting out of desperation because she feels she has like a whole lot to lose and whatnot, whereas her opponent kind of felt like, you know what, this life, I don't really feel like fighting for it anymore. Those were not considered at all. The only thing that was considered or that was judged was their actions in the game. She did absolutely horrendous, absolutely heinous things in the game in order to win, and I'm not trying to say that she should have been absolved of the things she was doing because they are wrong, but I am saying that her context should at least have been considered in the judgment. So the system has every single flaw in the book, every single loophole embedded into its core function, right? But that wasn't even what did it for me, because at this point while I was watching I was like, okay, we need about 63 system updates and we'll be okay. But the feather that broke my back, that took me from, okay, we need 63 system updates to now you need to pack this whole system the fuck up. that took me to this should never have even made it into beta testing, the end goal or punishment system. So heaven and hell as we would call it, reincarnation and void as the arbiters would call it. So say you conduct yourself in a less than favorable way, like Miss Actress ma'am that I was telling you about earlier here, where she tried to kill her opponent in order to like auto win the game. Say you do that, right? You are punished by being sent to the void. And the void is basically a space containing nothing, where for the rest of time you experience the sensation of falling. But not just that, for the rest of time you're in a state of embracing all of your negative feelings. So terror, regret, despair, sadness, you name it, you're feeling it. So there's basically no room for you to grow, no opportunity to one day experience happiness or positive feelings of any kind. It's just this total state of like stagnation for all of time. Which is like, okay, it sucks, but conceptually hell, even in like human logic, has never been marketed to be a cute place. So okay. But then there's what we would call heaven and they would call reincarnation. This is what you get rewarded after conducting yourself in a manner that is satisfactory to your arbiter, right? So this is what you get when you did good. You are rewarded with reincarnation, so a whole new body and a fresh new existence. That's right, you're put right back here for another round of taxes with just a smidge more inflation this time around, because that's how the world works over time. You have just a little less clean air, a little less clean drinking water than the last time you were here. You get to go through puberty, get to go through high school all over again with none of the wisdom and none of the life experience you had in your life before. You get to take your driver's test one more time. And you might luck out and be born a Kardashian where you were previously from like impoverished circumstances. Or you might be born into even worse circumstances than the previous time around. There's no criteria for the type of life you're going to be born into. Nothing. There's nothing measured against your previous life and the good that you did. You're just born. You're born somewhere on here. But all of these that I've listed here are mid-tier issues compared to my issue and why I say heaven is a dumb place to end up in the first place. The reward for heaven is temporary, while the punishment for the void is permanent. You see, when you're sent to the void, that's what's up for the rest of time. You're in the void, that's what's going on with you. But when you reincarnate or you get rewarded heaven, you're going to be back at Queen Decim's in less than 120 years to be judged all over again. So the real risk reward here is you either go to the void forever or be given another less than 120 years before its void tryouts again. So let's say each time judgment takes place, one person is sent to heaven and one person is sent to hell. Because that's roughly like how the average works. So sometimes both get reincarnated, both get sent to the void, sometimes it's 1-1. Essentially it averages out to like one person. You see the maths. So there are about 7 billion of us gathered here on Earth right now, right? And that would mean that in roughly 120 years, there would have been 3.5 billion of us lost to the void, 3.5 billion of us that's circled right back here, right? Give that another 120 years, we have 1.75 billion people, right? Give that another 120 years, we have 860 million people left. Give that another 120 years, we have 430 million people left here, everyone else chilling in the void. All 6,570,000,000 people in the void, never coming out. And that's after what, 480 years? And then one day, guess what happens? Everybody's chilling in the void. All your previous efforts were for naught. All the times you passed the judgment test, those all mean nothing. So from the time you enter into the void to the rest of time, you're still in a state of falling. You're still going to be embracing all of your negative thoughts. And worst of all, you're going to be embracing all of your negative thoughts as the worst version of yourself. So say the first time you were here, you were, I don't know, Mary, mother of Jesus. Second time you were here, you were Jedediah the farmer. Third time you were here, John the accountant. Fourth time you were here, Jeffrey Dahmer. Guess who you're spending the rest of time as? So all this time it's been good versions of your existence where feelings of like despair and terror probably wouldn't be as strong in the void, and your experience of the void wouldn't be as bad. But now you're just sent as the worst one. Essentially, there is no reward. There is no heaven. There ultimately only is hell. Anyways, bing, bing, whoa, bing, bing, bitty, 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 bitty,